session. Bob, I think all of you know, a great guy, senior executive at Golf Digest, has done a whole lot here at Brooklawn over the years, huge contributions. And he is a great person to moderate tonight, not only because of everything that he's done in his professional career, golf career, but also because Bob himself is a guy who went through college on a caddy scholarship. So with that, I want to turn it to Bob to introduce our program and our speaker center.
That's right about the scholarship. Both my brother and I got the caddy scholarship back when the standards were much lower. Nonetheless, Bill and Mary Carney, who had 6 kids, were very happy about it. It's a great thing. We've got 2 great guests tonight, and it's always fun to talk about golf, isn't it? I'm finding that talking about it is a lot more fun than playing it these days. It's a lot easier. I'm getting to be a scratch golf talker. But we've got 2 great guests to talk about not only Brooklawn's history, but the history of our golf course, which is an incredible golf course. The first guest is Ron Force. Now, you may know Ron. He's the guy that you usually curse on the 16th, 17th, and 18th holes for the bunkers that he's put in that now have faces, unlike those old bunkers that you could hit out of easily. But besides being a pain in the neck, Ron is a master architect and renovator of golf courses. One writer called him the Maytag repairman of course restoration, and that's because he does what he did here, which is he improved the course, he changed the course, and he left it the same. And he has done that at some of the best courses in the country, major restoration projects at the Broadmoor, at Bedford Springs in Pennsylvania, at Newport Country Club in Rhode Island, and lately at Lancaster Country Club in Pennsylvania. He's an expert on Donald Ross. He's an expert on A.W. Tillinghast. He's an expert on Seth Rayner. Ron Whitten, our architecture editor, who's also an architect, said once that restoration is a term, a narrow-minded term for lack of imagination. And then in the next sentence he said, there are very few people who know how to do restoration right. And Ron Force was the first name on that list. He is a practitioner that knows how to combine an architect's blueprints with an architect's vision. And he has done a tremendous job here. He is not the most famous person ever to come from Caldwell, New Jersey. However, that's Grover Cleveland. But I don't know about you, but I'd never like Grover Cleveland anywhere near this golf course. And so we're really happy to have you here, Ron. Our second guest, my experience with our second guest, Art Williams, is that everybody knows a little bit about what Art Williams has done in his life or contributed to Brooklawn. But nobody seems to know all of what he's done. That he was the captain of the Yale golf team, some people know. That he was a Marine Corsair pilot, some people know. That he played in the U.S. Amateur, some people know. That he won 4 club championships, some people know. What I don't think everyone knows is that Art was the club president here back in the 60s, and that since that time, and probably before that time, has been, mostly behind the scenes, a huge leader of this club. And when I look at Brooklawn today, I think it's a model club for being in financially strong shape and for the way it attracts families and young families and has something for everybody at the club. And the leadership that made that happen over the years, which was an inspired leadership, is Art Williams and people like him, and we really appreciate having Art here. So the way the program is going to go is Ron and Art are each going to do 10-minute presentations about the golf course. Then we're going to have a little panel up here to answer questions, ask questions, and get into a little discussion. Ron, do you want to start?
Thank you for those very kind words. I didn't realize you were that good. We're going to have to start charging more, actually. But at any rate, we have had the privilege of working on some great courses. We're very privileged to do it, and Brooklawn is one of those. We feel that Brooklawn, as we kick this off here, Brooklawn, New Haven, and Yale have the best putting green designs in the entire state of Connecticut. And we work across the country. We work a lot in New England. I live near Pittsburgh now, and we've gotten to see some great courses. And I think this is an incredible golf course. And as we go through this, I want to point out a few things you might not know about your course. Let's see if we can jump into that. This is the 1929 Tillinghast plan, and some people have wondered over the years whether or not this is a Tillinghast golf course, or did he just rebuild the greens? That's been said. And as we go through this, we'll come to a conclusion here, but that is the drawing. The routing is somewhat the same as the 18-hole course. The 9-hole course obviously was a lot different. The 9-hole course had the clubhouse down here by 15. Had it up here for the last 9 years or so. And let's go to the next one here. There's a very interesting aspect to this. Calvert Winsrow, I have no idea who that engineer was. Tillinghast was from Philadelphia and lived in northern New Jersey, Bergen County, New Jersey. And this has always fascinated me for the past 11 years during our association with Brooklawn, and that is September 1929 is the date of the drawings. What happened 1 month later? The Depression kicked in, Black Tuesday. Wondered why they built such great greens and bunkers, such great green sites, but no fairway bunkers. I think it just stands to reason they just saved the money on doing that. But when they built the green sites, let's call them, that's everything surrounding the greens and the putting surfaces themselves. When they built them, they did a superb job. This is the last 18-hole golf course that Tillinghast did. The second to last was finished in 1931 in Bergen County, New Jersey, Alpine Country Club in Gloucester, or the little town of Alpine, not too far north of George Washington Bridge. That course over there is a lot different than this one. The greens weren't designed this way. As you go around your course, before we jump into the details of this, when you go around your course, notice there's, generally speaking, 4 high points. You notice on your greens here, the rear of the green, the rear corners are high. The quintessential, and then you see into the green along the edges, there's 2 other high points. The quintessential example of that would be the 18th green. You've got those high points, one higher than the other, one configured differently, both configured differently from the other. And towards the front of the green, in the haunches as they call them, there's another minor couple of high points, one on each side, with the green falling off the front to reveal the target. You'll see that pattern all around the golf course, and that's the harmony of his design. The variety of that is he did it differently everywhere. Now, behind the 9th green, he's got a high point in the center rear of the green. He only did that on that one hole, and somebody said maybe 14 has a minor high point there too, but that looks more like a kind of a Donald Ross green. But Tillinghast, you go Sands Point on Long Island, you go Sunnyhanna in Johnstown, PA, you go to a lot of places, and Newport, you'll see that kind of pattern going on there, and he did that constantly. He liked doing that. So let's go to the next one here and just look at some close-up. The routing here, this is hole 10, this is hole 4, and there's 5. The plan called for a 515-yard par 5 on the 4th hole. They put the green here instead and slid the 5th hole up here. The other golf holes are essentially the same, except the 10th green went back into here. It shortened up from the 170 considerably. And on number 8, the tee is back here. So they swapped 8 as a par 4 and 5 as a par 5. They swapped the pars on those. No plan is exact when you finish it and you go and you start constructing. Let's go to the next one. You can see 17 and 18, there's a couple of fairway bunkers there. We do want to modify those. That was the first attempt at trying to get these flashed, undulating bunkers that are out here, and I think we can do better. We'd like to modify those at some time. We picked up on the patterns and the shapes there, but they need to be brought down. I'd like to get the earthworks more gentle, blended better, and that kind of thing. But you can see the drawing. When he did one large bunker on the right and one large one on the left, he built 2 on the left, the huge one on the right that should be restored to that gigantic hollow that's out there. And the left of 17 is a gigantic hollow out there as well that used to be sand. You'll see that in a minute. let's go to the next and we'll see how from the top here, hole 12, the tees on 17, 1, and 12 were not combined in that area yet. Or, I'm sorry, I should say 14. They were not combined then. 12 was out there. You can see the large bunker in 11 was in the general shape there. 16 had an echelon of bunkers all across it, and 15 here is about as it was planned, it was designed. There were more, you can see there's a lot of fairway bunkers between the golf holes here. This bunker here on 12 was moved down towards the edge of the hill to give it a better shot value, so it's pertinent to today's and make it more relevant. There's the scorecard with swapping of holes 4 and 8, total of just under 6,500 yards, and the par 71. You notice hole 10 was 170, it's a lot shorter than that now. Other things are generally the same, give or take. So here's aerial photo, 1932, I believe is the exact year of this. The construction, and just for orientation here, the clubhouse is there. There's 18, 17, way over here, number 4. And let's go to some close-ups. This is very interesting. This is the old 18-hole layout with hole 1 going up and over that hill, down by the maintenance area. This is the fairway bunker on the left side of 1. There is the green being constructed with a huge sandy area there. Hole 2 was on virgin ground. This was old number 2, number 1, but number 2 was here. This is where the practice green is. The short green practice green is right here. You can still see the old green, the back of that green. There's a flat area that drops off quickly into what used to be a catchment bunker before you got onto Cornell. The old bunkers along the side here. And here's hole 11 coming up over. The old cross bunker was taken up. There was stone walls or something there. Let's go to the next one there, Jim, if we could. Yeah, this close gets a little closer. There's the large bunker behind 2 green. But here's, that tee is still there. And there's that gigantic poplar tree that's over there. By the way, there was a hole in the original 9-hole course that went through here, and that was called poplar because it went past that huge tree, which is one of the, it's about the biggest tulip poplar I've ever seen. Fredericksburg, Virginia had one that was maybe slightly larger, and it since fell over in windstorms. But that tee is there. This is the crest of the hill that is out there, and the existing, well, that practice green is there. This is from the old steeplechase era in the 1890s, or the geometric era. There's a berm through there and sand trenches, kind of military design, sand trenches flanking it. And you can even see there's a shadow there. There's kind of 3 berms. The Allegheny Country Club in Pittsburgh still has features like this left over from the very early days of architecture. Let's go to the next. Here you have hole number 3. The 18-hole green was there. There's 4T being built. An old bunker cross bunker being covered over. You can see the 5th tee is back up in this area here. Well, they had it way down here. But 5th tee is back here now, and that is the 4th green there. And it was built as a par 4, a long par 4. The green was moved from there forward, I should say. And, there's lots of things that could be said about these things, but it's essentially the same routing that was there before. He kept a lot of the routing, changed some holes, but every green site is brand new. You can see there's more green sites out there than what you might think. That's number 8, and the old green out in front. So there's a lot of change has been made in specific green site locations. Going down, this is hole 10. And that's Cornell running up there. We just saw this hole here. Hole 10, the green was designed up here, but they brought it back to the fat part of the ground, didn't put it up near the road. And between 8 and 9, you've got this series of bunkers that were in there. The 9th tee up there and obviously coming downhill, and the Rooster River's still in the same spot there. And the large, irregular bunkers, it's hard to tell whether the area is still growing in or what's sand. But you can see the long, irregular, interesting pattern of bunkering that Tillinghast put here. The combination of these greens and the irregular, sort of flash sand, kind of scalloped in very irregular, naturalistic patterns. Nothing mechanical. The combination of that bunkering with the huge size and the expertly contoured putting surfaces really sets Brook Lawn apart. It does that's really what makes Brooklawn. There's a lot of parallel holes. So, you know, some of the holes roll over. It's similar topography, but it's the green sites that make this course so outstanding. Let's jump to the next if we could. There is the 11th green site with a large, look at this, if you can see, that's the green there. And equal in size is the left-hand bunker down the hill from it. Just about equal in square feet, probably could be a hair larger. There's the 18-hole green out there, which you can still see some of the remnants of the earthworks below the tees. The forward tees down there was the original tee for this hole, with the Tillinghast number 12 built there. Number 14 there that Peter did a good job of emulating. And there's the 18-hole course, 15th green, and there's the current 15th green. The golf hole had a tee over here for 16 that was kind of straight, and the other tee is being built here. And you can see, I understand you can still see the remnants. I've probably not noticed them, but you can see the remnants. Peter, was that a foundation or what was that? That was the tennis courts down there, okay. Now, the old drawing shows some rectangles there. It doesn't identify what they were. 17, 18 is off a little bit, but the greens are superbly done. Even sand directly behind the 13th green that's now Grassy Hollow. And the shaping in the Grassy Hollow behind 13 green really reveals exactly what the construction looked like. And you just take the grass off, and that's really the earthworks that they did here. Some abrupt, some shallower slopes, things like that. And there's that close-up of 15 with that semi-island tee. Trees were very, very small in those days. The sycamores there, but it's interesting to see how the road passing through there, the old road, and the pattern on 14 for that bunkering. So Peter and I were out on 17 right side, refining what he put in. He said, don't worry, it won't hurt my feelings, let's make these better than they are. And these kinds of patterns and lines are put in there. Tillinghast changed his design schemes more than any other architect. In 1915 did San Francisco Golf Club, and he had bunkers that looked like eroded sand dunes, which is basically the California look. They were all the classic architects did that out there. Then you go to a place like Somerset Hills, and the grass is right down to the bottom. And Newport originally did not have flash bunkers. Those bunkers were right down to the, if you look at the course Beautiful, page 86 or something like that, there's a photograph of Newport's 13th hole from the rear looking down the hill, and you can see it's entirely, and the ninth green also, entirely grass-faced bunkers. Those bunkers have evolved, sand blown up, edging higher and higher, instead of just replacing the grass faces. And that's evolved to that. Riviera Country in Los Angeles is the same kind of thing. There's high flash faces, those evolve. So courses evolve, sometimes the restoration you choose to go with the old, the original. In this case, that's what really should be done here. They're not difficult to maintain, gentle sweeps of sand, nothing really drastic. Other places like Riviera, they chose, and Newport, they chose to keep the evolved state intact. There you can see the 18th green. They built it with two bunkers on the left, as we mentioned, and that huge bunker on the right. And we're looking forward to when we can get that goofy pumping station out of there. It looks like some kind of World War II bunker. And get it out of there and restore the earthworks there and get it back to the way it should have been. Here you can see 16, just a combination of some sand flashings. You can see that dark shadow there. That's a bit of grass spilling over the embankment. It's all different, and it's natural. An old green out there you can see on 17, but the current green is beyond it. And the old road, you still have evidence. The fairway bunkers are right here. You can see the old road running right through the rough and right across, right adjacent where the cart path is, next to those fairway bunkers. I mean the green side bunkers there on the left side. So, that's that. Shall we, Mr. Carney, should we take questions or keep moving here? I guess we want to keep moving, right?
Yeah, let's keep moving.
Time.
Let's have Art do his recollection. That was fantastic.
First of all, Bob Carney, thank you for those kind words, undeserved. I feel like the old man Mose or something like that. My emphasis is more on the players and the people and the accomplishments. And when I think about it, I've known the people that spread the entire history of this club. And known and talked with them and played with some of them. I didn't ask for this one. Getting some, anyway, let's start on the, I want to emphasize the people and the players and in the club itself for a few minutes before you get into it. Ron has covered the course, and he'll come back with questions on that. And by the way, forgive my voice, it's just one of those things. So, Jim, Bill, where are you?
I think Jim's gonna do it.
Right?
I think Jim's gonna move us through the slides.
On the slides.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I'm right here.
Oh, what you're doing.
Yep. Next
Okay,
slide.
Well, will you move on? That's the exhibition they had here in 1900 with J.H. Taylor, great English player. And that's the oak tree on number 13, now number 13, that was there up until maybe, I don't know, Peter Blank can tell you, maybe 25 or 30 years ago. It got hit with a number of lightning hits, but it was a great guardian of that right side of the 13th green. It was a wonderful tree. So let's, now this, I just love this picture. Captain Young drives the altar. It's out there in the front hall. And it shows the primitive conditions that existed in the old course. That was the first nine. Now, Brad and I had a number of conversations. Where was the golf? And we both figured out it was the other side of the maintenance road. And sure enough, we looked at it further, and the hole he was playing was called the altar. And on another sign of that 9 holes, you can see that tee is just the other side of the maintenance road on the top of the hill on 11. It's now nothing but scrub, but okay. I just thought it'd be interesting. Go ahead. The old clubhouse down by the pond, gone, but the casino is on the left.
Move a little closer to the screen, I appreciate it.
Is it not coming through?
Keep going to the screen, there. Perfect, thanks.
Perfect.
Okay? They kept the horses on the right side of the barn, and as Peter will tell you, the horses had their leather shoes, the horses that pulled the mowers in those days, and he still got one in his shop somewhere. So let's go ahead. That's just history. Now, here's the first 18, and it is remarkable that the layout was very similar to what Tillinghast did. The biggest change was the first hole that used to go straight over the hill, and he made the dog leg, and the number 2, which still on 11 is now. There are other changes which Ron has mentioned, but this is the complimentary banquet tendered to Archer C. Wheeler and Winnie D. Wheeler, the Wheeler twins. And each a true exponent of the game of golf and a friend of all beginners. The club members loved those 2 gentlemen. They were just kind to everybody. They were expert players, and they were very knowledgeable, and they helped everybody. And they were all beginners at that time. I want to talk more about Archer, but to move along. There is Archer Wheeler. I don't know who was in the middle. Johnny Welch was a pro from 22 to late 40s. Go ahead. This is interesting. $50,000 to do the Tillinghast course. And they started with 1,000. Here's the clubhouse has already been built. It's 1916. Jack Walsh, that's Johnny Walsh. He had the record of the old course, 66. Anyway, $50,000 wouldn't go very far these days. Archie came every year back to see, Gene Sarazen was here as a shop boy. You know the story. If you read Gene's book, 30 Years of Championship Golf, he tells about Mr. Wheeler and how much he admired him and thought of him. And he dedicated his book to his family, to Archie. And Gene, I'm sure that Archie gave Gene his start, kind of backed him. And they were great friends. So Gene came back every year, at the time of the Jamboree or whatever, played with Archie. And that was George Sparling on Archie's right over there, and then Horace Strong and Dr. Lee, and they would usually play together. Gene would come up for the Jamboree or whatever, and one of those occasions he shot his 63, still a record. He'll probably be beaten one of these days, but I think that what you see of Archie in that picture just was a great gentleman. I had the pleasure of knowing him. He invited me to play with him a number of times. He gave me a beautiful golf umbrella when I went away to school, and that's the way he was with everybody. He was just kind and thoughtful, and everybody loved him. Go ahead. That's a wonderful picture of Gene and Archie. I don't want to, I could talk a lot about Archie, but if you read the book, he was a charter member of the club. He